Shalom, family. How y'all doing today? This is Minister Yakoba, along with Karis, and some of our other Patreon members who should be joining shortly. We're gonna have another discussion, and Yakoba be joining shortly. Yakoba. Somebody mute your
Okay.
mic.
Hot mic, my bad.
Okay. Yakoba, I don't stay away from controversial issues. There's stuff we need to talk about. I think sometimes when we deal with hard topics, sometimes people could take it personal, and we shouldn't take anything personal. Because I think some people might think maybe I'm a little hard on the Gentiles, but I'm not. I'm just being truthful. And, we have good brothers and sisters who are Gentiles. And so we don't want to paint everybody with the same brush. But I think we need to talk about this because it's not getting much media attention. We need to talk about the madness within the Gentile community, right? So as we usually do, what we're going to do is we're going to watch some videos. We're going to read some articles. And, this show isn't just going to be about the Gentiles. It's also going to be talking about other end time prophecy events. Hopefully we have enough time to, talk about the other end time prophecy events. Before we get started, Karis and Sister Sheila, y'all want to give a shout out to the family?
Hello, Karis. Hello, Minister Yakoba and family. Peace and blessings. Happy to be here.
Salam, shalom, Siemi. How you all doing, Sheila, Yakoba? Glad to be back on the panel. How you all doing out there to the followers on out there of Teo Ministries, fellow Israelites? It's always a pleasure.
Glad to have you on. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play some videos like we usually do. We're going to discuss them as we go along and try to figure out what's going on. I mean, we all pretty much know what's happening. But anyway, but before we do that, I want to read a scripture. And then we can talk about the different videos as we move along. All right. All right, this is Jeremiah chapter 51. Thank you, Sister Melinda, for that gift. We really appreciate it. So Jeremiah 51. We know that Jeremiah 50 and 51 has to do with the fall of Babylon. We know it has to do with the destruction of Babylon or the coming destruction. So we're going to read, let's start from verse 5. For Israel had been forsaken, nor Judah of his God, of the Lord of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. Let's see what mad means in the Hebrew. All right. Okay, so mad is the word halal. To praise, glory, boast, mad, shine, foolish, fools, commend, rage, celebrate, give, marriage, renowned. Okay, let's go down to act madly, act like a madman. We all know what a madman is. All right. So we got a few videos we're gonna watch here, family, and we'll go through. I mean, we're pretty much gonna. I'm sure we're gonna say the same thing, but I think we need to see the magnitude of what's going on and have this discussion. So, all right, let's see here. All right, we're gonna go here.
It's okay. Go ahead. Enjoy your day. Go ahead.
Don't tell nobody to shut up.
Now, before we get into the intro and the video, I just want to show you a picture of Miss Mackenzie. It was stated that she is a grandmother. I'm just going to show you a comparison in between her and the family. And I'm just going to put it as this. Somebody obviously was mad about life when they saw Miss Mackenzie. As stated before, she is the grandmother who was there at the time. Yet again, somebody was mad about life and the choices that they made when they saw Miss Mackenzie. Because I promise you, I was pretty flabbergasted. I'm almost at the extent that I need to see a birth certificate and some ID in order to confirm that, in fact, this young woman, as I'm looking at in this picture, is a grandmother. But let's get to the video. But if you want to support the platform, just in case anything like this happens again, you can do it by way of PayPal, Patreon, Cash App, and also by the Anchor. And you can also further support the platform by way of going to the Teespring store or the shoe store that is located in the comment section below. All right, so I just want to start off the video by giving a much love and appreciation to D. Washington because he sent me a link, which led me to Miss Shawnez M. McKenzie, who is the grandmother of the kids and the family that you are going to see in the video, who had the police called on them due to the fact that a white family did not want to share the pool area with a black family. So I'm going to read you from her two posts, and then we're going to get into the video. Post number one: Holiday Inn Express at Sharonville, Ohio. Because the Caucasian people did not want to swim with black people, they made the kids get out of the pool. Went forth videos, unbelievable. This is why we protest. And she said I think the number is 1513-771-9080. I am the grandmother in the video per the comments. Second post: the manager wanted to speak to my cousin. He was saying we had to get out of the pool and he was locking it up since the white family didn't want to swim with us there. Holiday Inn Express, Sharonville, Ohio. Again, the number is 1513-771-9080. This is why we protest. There is two videos posted of the madness. I'm the grandmother in the video.
Is there a problem? Oh, okay.
You are in a room, right?
Yeah, we got
You are
two
in the
rooms.
room,
We have two rooms.
Yeah.
no, you are in the room.
No, I'm not.
So
in
you not room, so
I
you
was-
can go out to leave the property, please.
But what am I
Otherwise, this
doing?
person is the mad here.
He's what?
You are not in the room, so you are the leave.
Why do I have to
We're not
leave,
in the
though?
pool. She's not in the pool. She's watching her
I was sitting there
grandkids
watching my
who has a
grandson,
room.
the little 1-year-old, and you see me sitting there. So what's the problem?
Yeah, you watching the kid, this is not my problem. You are not in property allowed because you are not in a guest. Are you not the guest? So you are not allowed the property.
I'm not allowed on a property.
Because you are not a guest. You are in the rooms? No. You have the rooms?
We have two
Yeah,
rooms.
but 2 rooms. So
Yeah.
just for 8 people.
Okay.
On the 2 rooms.
Two adults, right?
Yeah.
Two adults per room, right?
2 adult, 2 children.
Okay.
2 adult, 2 children.
We have that.
How many children you have?
We have that.
So just 2 rooms you have.
Yeah.
So just to make 8 people.
But I don't. Okay. Do I need to buy another room? I can buy another room.
You can buy another room. I don't have problem.
Okay. Well, I'll buy
We'll
one.
be checking out tonight, and I will be calling the law.
Bye.
Why?
Because you racist?
No.
Why?
What did we do to you?
We didn't do anything. We're having fun with our kids.
The further safe reparations.
So then what's the problem?
Black Lives Matter, I'll tell you that.
But we're asking
what's the
you.
problem?
We're trying to
Not getting
talk
out of the pool made room for y'all. What's the problem?
because we're black. Clearly.
He said he's going to call the
The
law.
law.
The children swim. Okay, so I'm confused. I'm done talking to you. I want a full refund because we're just going to leave your hotel. There's nothing else for us to talk about. I want my money back. So start the paperwork and give me my shit.
That's crazy.
They locking up the pool because we're not. That's crazy. Y'all need.
Okay, tell your other customers there's room. He said 10 customers in the pool. It was only 5 kids in the pool. Weird. No, you were
Come on.
Exactly.
Where your shoes, Addie? Come on. Come on. Oh, okay. Come on.
All right, so we're gonna go to another video before we comment. Well, a few more videos before we comment.
Read this. I just want to state to Mr. Faulkner, if you happen to see this video, I am going.
Your face is your moneymaker, so why would you pair it with cheap plastic?
Going to disagree with how everything went down because it comes from a place of love, because I don't want to see anything bad happen to you by way of an individual, like this. You did, go about the situation pretty fair and different things like that. But at the end of the day, this had to do with your race. And this woman was willing to call the police on you in order to get what she wanted done, right? So this is what Mr. Jeremy Faulkner had to say. You know me. Those that know me and think what you will about me,
I'm gonna
very
backtrack
quick to
on this
say
family
I'm
to the
not fair.
beginning.
Me nothing. Karens can't tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing. She got the Dixie on her truck, another Karen in the back, MAGA on her hat, and her dash is full of trash. Calling for the force, waiting on my porch, screaming and they yelling, but you still built like an orc though. Karens can't tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing.
Okay, let's
Karens
skip a
can't
little
tell
further.
me nothing.
That all the time.
All right, here we go. It is what I
was
wanted.
They called the police.
This is what I wanted right
Another
here.
one. I'm at my house. Huh?
All right, there we go.
This lady's crazy, y'all. I'm at my house. I'm at my house. Huh? No problem. No problem. This lady's in my way at my house saying I don't live here. This woman is saying I don't live here. This is my house. You crazy lady. Another white lady pulling some old bull crap. You know what?
Why did you say you don't live here?
Why did I live here? I don't have to. I'm waiting for my son to come outside. I don't have to do anything you say, lady.
Why do you think he lives here?
Good. She already called the police. Another one of those ladies on TV, on the internet. No, come back. Why are you running? Fuck me. Why are you talking like that? There's children out here. What's wrong with you? I was sitting there minding my business, waiting on a truck to come out, and she says I don't live here. I don't have to do that. I don't have to. Wow. Did you hear that? I'm a drug dealer. Wow. Amazing. You see this stuff on the internet all the time, but you never think it's going to happen to you at your own house. But there it is. There it is. Wow. That's amazing.
And we're gonna do a few more. Now, family, this particular video, I'm not showing the beginning of it because this particular woman crazy and vulgar, very vulgar. So I'm gonna show you this piece of it. But this woman here is crazy like a mug.
And Caitlin, you spoke with that family about what happened as well as an attorney? Right, that woman yelling the racial slurs in the video has been identified by Asheville police as Rachel Ruitt. The family and bystanders say that this was unprovoked, and a lawyer that we talked to say that if this video is shown to a judge, then this woman will be convicted of a crime.
And she continued to say racial slurs into my face, continued to call me over and over and over again. It was the most blatant display of racism that I've ever experienced.
Aisha Sabor says she and her family were visiting from Charlotte on their way to a birthday dinner when a woman later identified as Rachel Ruitt started yelling racial slurs from behind them.
The lady then took this way on the street.
Another family member started recording while they all stood behind the camera.
Touch me! You go to jail! Touch me! She wanted me to know that if you touch me, I will call the police and you will be held accountable. And that's a big part of why I didn't lose my cool.
Protesters already in that area took notice and tried to block Ruitt from the family. In the video, it appears Ruitt then began yelling racial slurs at them, too.
I would have been raging at the woman if I was them.
She was filled with hate, rage, and racism, and that's it.
Attorney Joseph Bowman watched the video.
It's outrageous. That woman's trying to start a fight.
He says although there is no hate speech law in North Carolina, in this type of situation, ethnic intimidation could be applied. Defined as a misdemeanor that occurs under North Carolina law when a person, because of race, color, religion, nationality, or country, assaults or damages or defaces property of another person or threatens to do any of that. He says this could be used along with a variety of other misdemeanors in a case like this.
The issue with disturbing the peace is if it looks like you're trying to start a fight. And if it looks like you're trying to start a fight, then you are trying to start a fight. And that's the crime.
Touch me! Touch me! Touch me!
It's just another scenario where we have to be on edge.
The family says what happens shows why protests for racial justice should continue worldwide.
And all of us who were still here present, we just sort of were affirmed as like, this is why we're here.
All right, family. So we have a few more we're gonna watch later on. I'm gonna get some comments here from Karis and Sister Sheila. But the thing is, you will notice here that, you know, I'm like, these are just a handful of things that are happening. I'm like, it is beyond an epidemic, right? It is beyond an epidemic at the end of the 400 years, right? All of this craziness and chaos. Ever since Trump got in office, these people lost their minds. It's spiritual. It's definitely spiritual. And, you know, we're going to see, you know, just the craziness of it all. Is just as the title says, they're mad. Let's hear from you, Karis.
Okay, so I had to just put in the chat that, especially for the one very, very vulgar woman, that if I had seen that type of behavior with my daughter, I would have been Super Mario, and I would have been getting some one-ups because that thing would have been stomped. So I have to say it like this. I'm not really that aggressive of a guy, and a lot of us aren't. But we have to start understanding, just like what we had mentioned about 2 or 3 weeks ago, you can tell we're at the final rung. You know, think about this. This is like American Ninja Warrior. It's only going to get harder as the time goes by. And you got to understand when they're talking to you out like this outright, because see, the bridle came off, the muzzle is off. I don't think people really understand that here in America. When they start talking, you got to understand after the talking is the actions. Because that's, if they can't control themselves, look, what does it say? Out of the mouth is what the heart has. So if they can't bridle their tongue, soon after their tongue is unbridled, a violence is going to be here. So that's where we're at. Be vigilant and be mindful, because whenever you're going to have some sort of a confrontation unsolicited, you know there's bad intentions that's always behind that.
Sister Sheila, any comments?
Yeah, it's I'm sitting here and I'm trying to be cool, but this it's outrageous. It's totally outrageous, and all it is and I think we've mentioned it before. It's just that feeling of that loss of control that they used to have, and whether it lasts or not, they're very upset because they're seeing a lot of these things changing. They see, like we were talking about, their monuments coming down. Now the Washington Redskins, they're changing their name. It looks like right now we're winning, and they're just frustrated, and that wickedness is just speeding up. It's just like you say, it's going out of control. It's just madness. It's really infuriating. I really have to be cool when I'm out here in the world, because even though I'm a female, I mean, I would, I'll probably be locked up somewhere. I know the Most High, but that stuff right there is just infuriating. But it's just they're losing control. They're angry. They're bitter, and it really just shows, like Kara said, their heart. And the condition of their heart. Their heart is just like shining through now. This is the darkness and the wickedness of your heart is just shining through in these last times.
So if I were to ask you, are the evil spirits loose? Are the demons loose? Are these people demon possessed?
Yes. Yes.
So yes.
Yes, I believe it, because you know what? I'm sorry. I just believe in all of that fallen angel stuff. And, some of them, still might have a trace of that in them. Esau hated Jacob. He was always doing something. When you read those apocryphal books, he was always doing something. He was wicked. And, if some of that's in them, some of that fallen angel, that hatred, that bitterness, don't even know why it's there. Yes, the demons are loose and they're running free. What I just want to know is, when do they really just enter in? When do you just open up yourself and just say, okay, come on, demons, take control? When does that happen?
Sheila, I actually think that that's happening right now, because you got to understand, look, everything that has been in their Judeo-Christian, quote unquote, philosophical construct has now fallen apart. So the more that everything is out of their control, the more that their nature is exhibited. Now, don't get me wrong; it's not all of them, But these are the Gentiles that are like, well, what did we see the other day? The one lady is like, "Wow, I love white supremacy," and it's like, okay, well, I'm glad you feel that way, because it's not like you're not telling me you're not lying. I can't fault her for not lying. You're being very truthful. And, this is one of those things that, they had to kind of suppress who they are. But I look at it like those are the nature of the dragons are coming out. As it says in Ezekiel 37, it's the nature of the dragon.
Yes.
For them, they want to control the dragon, but no, the dragon's coming out.
So what do you all feel about the idea that the righteous Gentiles should be standing up for us? I'm of the opinion that the more these things happen, all of those who are for Christ, who for Yeshua, should be standing against this, right? Now, I'm not hearing anything from the Christian churches. I'm not hearing anything from, the ones who disagree with all of this craziness. Or maybe it's just me. Maybe they're not seeing all of this. Maybe they're not watching the same channels I'm watching. But do you all feel that the quote unquote righteous Gentiles should be saying something?
Yeah, I do. And I really hate to say it like that, because I don't know. To me, sometimes it feels like, only until a white person says something, is it legitimized. But sometimes even on my job, I love to pull back and just let them go at it. When I have something to say, and and everybody's looking at me like, oh, the black girl is talking again. So, but when they get going at it, and they start going against one another, I like to sit back and see that sometimes. So I think that the righteous Gentiles should say something. particularly in the churches. And even though I know we're talking about Gentiles right now, but even some of our righteous so-called, sisters and brothers who are not awakened, but they call themselves Christians, they're not saying enough or saying anything. But yeah, they certainly should be saying something. But here's the thing, when a few of them do, that I think just enrages them more. But they definitely should be saying more.
I do. I look at it like this. You don't hear the stories of a whole lot of righteous folks in antebellum slavery, and I look at it like this because they understand it. They understand it. You get off code with them, oh, they'll bury you too. They'll bury you too. And in this time, it's not so much about do they need to kind of stand up and say anything. I look at it like this. Absolutely not. Let them keep showing themselves. Let them keep bearing it all, because you got to understand, they're showing the whole world. It's a global situation that's unfolding here in the United States. I'm going to look crazy. I'm confirming that craziness that Black people have been talking about since 2013, 2014, when it really started going crazy, even before then, but with the advent of cell phones, it was being captured, and now it's just blown up. And see, the problem is they're not understanding that's a worldwide effect. Do you think that these folks here in Europe are just about, well, it's COVID-19, we gotta shut you down for COVID-19? No, absolutely not. They don't want to have any type of racist folks there, because they understand their nature was to not be as racist as the United States. Yeah, is there racism there? Absolutely. But they're not supposed to be as racist, because here's the problem with Europe. Europe is attached to that supercontinent. Europe has a significant financial they are financially and resourcefully dependent on Africa. So they have to play the game with Africa to say, no, we're not like America. I mean, you know how we are. We're never like America. That whole racism thing was in America. But now they understand, oh, we really have to distance ourselves from them because America's going crazy.
So, everyone wants to talk about, the Negro, and they want to talk about how it's black on black crime. But then what about these people? I'm going to show another video, and, we got to talk about this, right?
That has since been dubbed the I Am Legend Zombie Karen was arrested after ramming her head multiple times into a bar door. What's going on, everybody? Gatekeeper Drew here for the Derailed News and Podcast channel. Now, very little is known at this point, as this video is just now circulating around. If there's any updates, I'll have them pinned down in the comments below for you guys, and possibly even a follow-up video. If anything else, we'll talk about it again Sunday night live here on this channel on the Derailed Podcast. So let's take a look at the video first, and we'll talk about it afterwards.
Hey, who grandmama this is? Bro. Who missed Sunday dinner? Oh, shit. Man, all the people that woman, son. Who missed Sunday dinner? Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. This fucking I Am Legend. That bitch She's doing the same shit. What the fuck? What?
This is very funny. You still need to go
dying. Hello? You got a Rona?
You need to go home.
Man, hello? That I'm legend. Yo, mom, baby girl. Who the fuck is baby girl? Hello?
He just called.
Hello? Hello? Anyways.
What?
Pretty sure you just said the
What are you doing?
Do-dum-dum. What a white woman at? Might be the one. Might be the one.
Jesus.
Oh man.
All right, family, we're gonna watch another video. You know, some of these videos we have to be careful about the language. Those of you who are sensitive to the language, you know, just don't, you know, turn down the volume and just watch it. Let's see. It just seems overwhelming at times, I'm sure. Let's see. Here we go.
This neighborhood.
My neighbor has 2 houses.
Now on CBS 2 News at 6, caught on camera, a racist rant turns violent as a woman uses a hammer to smash up her neighbor's car. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Pat Harvey. Now, that shocking video was captured on a public street in Chatsworth. As CBS 2's Christine Lazar tells us, this isn't the first time neighbors say they've been targeted with racist threats.
And I got you on video that you're destroying my car.
The cell phone video of a Chatsworth woman denting her neighbor's car with a hammer has now gone viral.
Get the out of this neighborhood.
The woman then starts a racist tirade, and it was all caught on camera.
Lake Avenue? Because my neighbor has 2 houses.
I asked her, what have we done to offend you? Please let us know. I was trying to calm her down, but she didn't respond.
Natalie Mason is the roommate of the man who owns the car. He's in Florida for work, but Mason and the man's sister were home at the time. They heard the banging and came outside.
Somebody's hitting Eddie's car. I really thought it was an ex-girlfriend. I thought it was the angry ex-girlfriend.
Turns out it was their neighbor, a woman they say they've had a run-in with before. They say she has repeatedly told them to go back to Mexico.
It's kind of hard to explain to the kids because they witnessed it. It's kind of hard to explain, you know, what racism is.
Another neighbor who heard the commotion restrained the woman.
And you think shoot, but it ain't Becky.
The victims say police told them that this was all over where this car is parked.
All right, we'll stop it there. You have to see the original video because it's really interesting. The black woman who came out there, she was like, "You better watch yourself, Becky," and she threw her into the bushes. You know, so the Bible talks about there's going to be ethnic group against ethnic group, right? But you know, and we're seeing that, right? But we're also seeing that something has changed within the spirit of America. There's an evil unlike ever before seen. There's a spirit that is, you know, taking over the racists. There's a spirit that's taking over the ones who hate black folks, who hate minorities, who hate anyone who's not like them. There's a spirit, and we see that. I'm gonna show another video just so we could keep this thing in context, that is not just the secular people, right?
Clearly not bothering anyone. I'm clearly sitting here doing work. So this is in excess of anything that needs to happen. You go by that just now for me?
That's for you.
That's so unwelcoming.
This is in North Hollywood, California.
On church property.
On church property. Yes, ma'am. You know, we used to be real nice about it.
You could still be very nice about it. You're choosing not to be.
Not anymore. Outside St. Paul Lutheran's Church.
All lives matter.
And there's the dead giveaway.
I said nothing about any lives, sir.
No, and I'm sorry, but I'm telling you, that's what we have to do.
So this is the precursor to you calling the cops.
This is it.
So you're willing to call the cops
Yes, ma'am.
for someone who's sitting on some grass when there are clear crimes that they could be taken care of?
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, at least he's honest.
You could have come and spoken to me directly and not called other people to go ahead and usher me off the property.
We all worry about our own lives.
I'm not. How am I threatening your life, miss?
And elderly white people showing their fragility. In the video taken by Alex Marshall Brown, pictured here via KCAL9 in Los Angeles, volunteers at St. Paul Lutheran Church go out of their way to show their racism. Protesters showed up, making their voices heard, supporting Brown with a sit-in on the grass and signs being held for passerbys to see. On her Facebook page, Marshall Brown uploaded the video in full. Here is part of that video.
I am clearly not bothering anyone. I'm clearly sitting here doing work. So this is in excess of anything that needs to happen. You could have come and spoken to me directly and not called other people to go ahead and usher me off the property.
We all worry about our own lives.
I'm not. How am I threatening your life, miss?
Because you're arguing with us.
That's threatening your life?
It's resisting our property.
This late straggler admits she is feeling threatened by a black woman's mere presence.
You know, I could tell you for hours what has happened here.
What has happened? I'm curious. I would like to know.
We have a preschool. The kids come in. We can't have people sitting around. We have to.
This people sitting around would threaten the children.
You don't know what they're going to do. The guy went out.
That sounds like a concern out of fear rather than you telling me what they have done.
You apparently have your own agenda.
I don't have an agenda. I'm clearly here just getting work done.
And admits to being a paranoid person.
Bless you. I know you've got the good intentions, but we've tried and we've been burned so many times. So many.
How have you been burned?
You know, I could tell you, assault on our secretaries, indecent exposure with our kids.
Are you concerned that I will do that to your children?
Honey, I don't know. You do what you need to do.
I give all the credit in the world to Marshall Brown, not losing her cool as I or many others likely would in this situation, and dispelling any argument they had with just simple logic. There's so many parts, important parts, but the glowing tidbit of racism was when one of the guys dropped the old
All lives matter.
Studies show that black people, primarily black men, are killed at a rate of about 3 to 1 compared to whites by police officers annually.
I mean, ultimately, it's to bring awareness and make people, realize what's really going on in this country. There are a lot of things that are going on that are unjust. People aren't being held accountable for. And that's something that needs to change. That's something that, this country stands for: freedom, liberty, justice for all. And it's not happening for all right now.
So I'm going to put it like this, and a lot of people not going to like it. Well, maybe they'll like it. It's time for us to separate. This not working out. There's 400 years of, us living amongst each other. It's just not working out. We need our reparations so we can leave. We know the scripture says we're going to get it, but you can tell it's not working out. We can tell it's not working out, and it's getting worse. Any comment, Karis?
Wow, that was a lot of stuff to kind of digest there, especially with the I Am Legend, Karen. Now, it was funny. I'm not going to lie. It was funny. But at the same time, it's very disturbing because you can kind of tell there's a whole bunch of demons up in that woman. And you got to remember, they're listening to their father. Okay? And I'll leave it like that. All right? We all know where he's located at this present time. In the vicinity of DC. And again, I was trying to explain to people those whistles. See, we're listening to something completely different than what they're listening to. And it really is funny. It's a haunt of demons. It is a haunt of demons. Look, you get demons in your radios, your televisions, your internet, because it's a portal. It's a spiritual matter of what you're digesting. And so the way that everything is now being regurgitated, it's no mistake. It's not a coincidence how these things are happening. Now, In terms of different ethnic groups, listen, if you don't have the complexion for the protection, you're just in their way. And right now, again, they tried to stratify people of color, quote unquote, and see that's not really working out the way that a lot of people that thought that they're going to get their little nuggets here and there with, well, I got my little reparations thing here. I got a little payback there. I got something thrown in the bill right here. I got my little DAC over there. At the end of the day, you're starting to see it doesn't matter.
So, Sister Sheila, any comments?
No, it's the same comment as before. It's totally outrageous. They burned me with that, all lives matter. That's just, they know what the deal is. And, I was thinking about something. I should have researched. I keep meaning to go back and follow up on it, but I was listening to something or reading something where Thomas Jefferson had, when he was talking about slavery and how he knew that it was wrong. He knew that it was like even a sin against the Most High. And he even said, I don't see how, at some point this is all going to come to a head. I got to find that. But he said something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing, but he said that. And even he knew, even though he had slaves, and we all know about Sally Hemings and all that stuff. But he was saying how he knew that he didn't see how a righteous God would not punish them at some point down the line for the evil of slavery. So with that Black Lives Matter, and him saying that, I'm so sick of them saying all lives matter. They know what we mean when we say that, or what people mean when they say that. They know that we're not saying, and that people aren't saying your life doesn't matter. We're saying that our lives matter because of all the injustices that are done to us, the killings and so forth. That's what we're saying. We are not saying, they are not saying, Black people are not saying that nobody else's life doesn't matter. So I guess that's all I have to say about that. This stuff is just outrageous. Just outrageous.
So, a lot of people are going to say we're racist because we're showing racists. Okay. I mean, really, it. They're going to say we're racist because we're showing racists. I don't understand that logic, but you put the knife in my hand and tell me it's my fault. No. Right. We're not buying it. We're not going to fall for it. I want to show you another video. It's real short and it's real interesting because it shows you the times that we're living in, right? We are in the last days. Obviously, anyone with eyes to see know that something's happening and something even greater and worse is coming, right? So there we go. Y'all can see that title, right?
One Black man. Until everybody, I will kill everybody except it. Die in the name of Jesus.
What's going on? What is going on? What is happening here?
Did he say die in the name of Jesus?
Not only that, he said Jesus is a Black man. And unless you accept it, I'm going to kill you all. Explain this to me. I'm telling you, I feel like I'm in Wonderland. I feel like everything around me is not real anymore. Ever since Trump got in office, it's all been hell going down the drain.
I was happy that you got my email because I was like, I hope he sees this. I hope he sees it.
Oh my goodness!
Thank you for sharing, Karis.
Oh,
you just made it more where I feel like I'm in La La Land.
Oh,
So once again, so you got a lady running to the door, licking the door, saying, "Let me in." Okay, madness. You have this guy on a plane saying, "Jesus is black. I'm gonna kill you all." What? I'm
sorry.
I mean, if you could pick the worst thing that our people have done, it's like when you start comparing stuff, it just don't compare. And like, even in these times, right? Everyone's saying Black Lives Matter. Okay, so Black lives apparently don't matter to them to such an extent that they're losing their minds. See, what people don't realize is the reason why Black lives don't matter to the majority is because we're Israel. Is because the devils hate us because we are God's chosen.
Yes.
This is what is happening, right? Because none of this makes any sense. Why isn't this happening to the Indians? I'm talking about the Indians in India, the ones who live here. They're as black as us. Some of them.
Some of them are
it's
darker.
Not happening to them. Yeah, some of them darker. But it's not happening to them. It only happens to us, the ones who they took from the continent of Africa. Our ancestors brought us here, enslaved us, and did all the horrors that we've always talked about. We talk about it enough. But yet, we the enemy. Yet Black lives don't matter. Okay, I'm going to give this out to y'all. Y'all don't like black folks? Y'all don't want us swimming in your pools? Y'all don't want us in your hotels? Give us our reparations and let us go.
Yes. Yep.
We're ready.
Yep.
We're ready. So I'm going to share. Now, we're going to move on from the craziness, from the madness. Okay. We have enough of that because we can see the world has lost its mind. Right? We in agreement there, right? The world is mad. They've lost their minds. Okay, so let's go to this particular video and article, and we're going to talk about reparations. So T.I. recruited Jay-Z, Diddy, Robert F. Smith, who's the billionaire, and more to join his Lawyers of London reparations camp. Now, let's hear what Tip says about all of this. Now, granted, I'm going to say this, that no man is going to get us reparations, right? It's not going to happen. Only God is going to do it. That's why he says no man's going to redeem you, right? That means only God can redeem us. But just like everything else, you have a group of black folks who don't know that they're Israel, they're Kemet, they're African ancestor worship, but yet they have a desire to go to Africa, but they don't know why. They think it just came on them all of a sudden that 400 years hit. Now they have a desire to go back to Africa. They don't understand that prophecies are being fulfilled. So let's watch this one, and we're gonna watch both of these right quick, and we're gonna continue on and talk about some of these prophecies being fulfilled, being fulfilled. Because here's the thing: God will use people to fulfill His will. Okay. Now, anything that happens, whatever happens, however we get the money, however we get the substance, the great substance, God is going to get the glory. Man is not going to get the glory. So no matter what effort man puts, God is going to get the glory. But it's the call that matters. It's the cry that matters. And that's what we're seeing.
I'm on here now to give you an update. Giving you an update. Jay got out the phone with Jay. With Hove. He in. All right. Spoke to T Grizzly. He in. So far you got Tip. Spoke to Wallow. Wallow from Philly. He in. So far you got Tip, Jay, Puff, Wallow, Robert Smith. We all in. See, now the thing is, what I need y'all to understand, right? What I need y'all to understand, what they gonna try and do, or what they already trying to do, is they gonna try, Lloyds of London, what they gonna try and do is give some of us a little something to keep from giving everybody what they deserve. Don't go for it. Don't go for it. If we stick together, every black person in America will get at least $1 million. If we stick together. Everybody in the comments asking for what? Go back to my previous post, man. Go back to my previous post. Catch yourself up on game, man. We ain't got time to slow down and turn back, man. We moving forward. We moving forward. We moving forward. We ain't got time to slow down and turn back. They've already admitted to it. You understand? I'm talking facts. They've already admitted to it. They've already apologized. We appreciate your apology. We want 10% of our company. That's our company. Our ancestors allowed you to build that company. We want 10%, man. We don't want no motherfucking little petty ass check for right now. We want 10% in perpetuity. As long as that company is in operation, we want 10%. For our kids, they kids. Just like you took care of your motherfucking family for generations, we gonna take care of ours. We want 10%, man. Lloyds of London, we want 10%, man. Don't let them give you no crumbs, man. Don't let them give you no crumb. If you have done us wrong, if you have wronged us, you can't tell us how you gonna fix it. We gonna tell you how you gonna fix it. Give us no motherfucking crumb. Talking about call and fill out some paperwork to get your check. What?
So we're gonna go to the I think this was the first one, I think, right here, and the one at top I think was the second one. I guess this particular video might get flagged a bit with all the cussing. My bad. So if you don't like cussing, if you can't deal with cussing, mute it, please.
I would suggest that they all follow my instructions so they could keep up with the message. All right, so there's a lot of shit going on with us, you know, as a people, as a community, as a generation or generations. And we've been doing a lot of asking how we can find a way to get reparations. All right, well, I don't know, man. Maybe my ego, man. Maybe it's just my audacity. Maybe it's just the conceited nature of my spirit. But I don't like asking a motherfucker for shit. Sure don't. So be that as it may. And mind you, I don't always say the right things the right way to the right people at the right time to where they can find adequate understanding without feeling threatened and intimidated. But that ain't my fault, bro. I don't care if you don't like what I'm saying or how I'm saying it, or if it come off to you abrasive, or if you are defensive, or if you have found a way to be offended by what I'm saying and it don't suit you. I don't care about that. Do what I want y'all to do. Do what I want y'all to do. I want y'all to Google Lloyds of London. Lloyds of London. I want y'all to Google Lloyds of London. LLOYD' of London. Lloyds of London.
I got it.
I want y'all to Google Lloyds of London.
I got it.
Would you please read the Wikipedia of Lloyds of London?
It's a Lloyds of London is an insurance and reinsurance market. So basically, it's an insurance company.
I will keep reading. Bet.
It's located in London.
Located in London,
which is the United Kingdom.
All right.
Unlike
UK.
most of its competitors in the industry, it is not an insurance company. Rather, Lloyds is a corporate body governed by the Lloyds Act in 1871.
All right.
And subsequent act of Parliament. It operates as a partially what's this word right here?
Show it to me.
That M word right there.
Mutualized
marketplace.
All right. Oh,
Wait a
what,
minute, it's important information.
what'd you say?
Mutualized marketplace within which multiple finances.
So basically, what you just heard him read was Lloyd's of London is an insurance company and a financial institution, otherwise known as a bank, a lending institution. Now, whoa. Next thing, Google
What's up?
Lloyd's of London net worth.
Well, I'm doing it right now. Right as we speak. Net worth, I got it.
What's the net worth?
52.8 billion.
52.8 billion on Lloyd's of London.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, well, look. Here's the kicker. Woo! Lloyd's of London, guess how they began on the road to these $52 billion that they're worth now. Guess how they became rich and prosperous.
How they do it?
The very day Lloyd's of London became a lucrative entity, the very day Lloyd's of London became rich, happens to be the same day that the first ship made it to America full of slaves from Africa. The first ship, they insured the boats, they insured the cargo, which were the slaves.
Ancestors.
They insured the salaries of the people who were on the boat to watch, capture, and control the slaves.
That's wild. What?
And over the course of slavery, they continued to insure boats so they could have resources to go back and forth from London to America, all the way from Portugal, all the way over to Africa, and make it back with us. And if a slave were to die, they were treated like stolen cargo. If a slave were to die on the way from Africa to here, they insured these slaves and paid the person who got the slaves.
All right, so we'll stop it right there. So here's the deal. You have the super spiritual people, right? They're sort of like the guy who said, the guy who said in the scriptures, I'm glad I didn't do X, Y, and Z. I pay my tithes, I do this and I do that. And the other guy who said, Lord, have mercy upon me, I'm a sinner. And God said, who left justified? So, some people will look at Tip and say, is this your representative? Is this the Israelites you all want representing you? Right? That's that self-righteous guy, right? Who don't see the work of the Most High in his people. Because guess what? All of his people aren't saved right now, right? Some of his people you see in the scriptures got to go into the wilderness, and some of them going to be rebels, and some of them not going to be able to enter into Jerusalem. But yet the ones who enter in, God says he's going to give them a heart of flesh. So some people want to move before God moves, but yet don't have the spiritual insight to see God moving. 1 Corinthians 15:46 says, however, that which is spiritual was not first, but that which is natural, and after that which is spiritual. If you expect a spiritual move, don't you want to see or expect a natural move first?
Yes.
The natural has to come before the spiritual, you self-righteous people. You don't know your scriptures. You have no spiritual insight because you blind. You're self-righteous. While you see something negative, I see prophecy being fulfilled. While you see something negative, God is bringing his people together. While you see something negative, God is awakening his people. Can't you see? This is part of the awakening. How many celebrities now have come out saying they're Israel? But you're going to look at that as a negative because they're not where we're at yet. Because they still cuss. How many of us cuss even after we got saved? Because God is still dealing with our flesh. Come on.
Yes. Come on. Yes.
I think that what I see in Tip is a guy, first of all, the dude brilliant. Dude smarter than you give him credit for.
Yes, he is.
Second point is God can use these people who have the voice, who have the attention of the world because of their fame to give him glory. Can he not do it? Can he not use these people to give himself the glory? Yes or no?
Yes.
Sister Sheila, any comment?
You just preached it. I mean, I love it. I love it. And he can use whatever he wants to use. He can use whomever he wants to use. And like you say, it doesn't matter. And here's a point I want to bring out too. I'm tired of people talking about the angry black man and the angry black woman. You know, because if this had been done to you, you would be angry. I can say, I don't want to hurt or mean hurt for anybody, but you know what? I'm angry. I am angry. I'm angry about my past. I'm angry about what was done to my people. I'm angry about what was done to George Floyd. I'm angry still about Emmett Till when I learned about that lesson. I'm angry about lynchings. I'm angry about alligator bait. I'm angry. Now, does it stop me from doing what I need to do? Does it stop me from loving? Does it mean I'm going to go run people over with my car, pull out a gun, start shooting? No, but I'm angry about it. Stop telling us what we can and cannot be angry about. I'm angry about it. I have a righteous anger about what's going on. So I agree with you. So what? They cussing? Yeah, they rough around the edges. They ain't like us. You know, they're not they're not saved, if you will. But you know, the Most High is going to use them, and He is using them, and I'm grateful for it because you're right. They got the platform that we don't have. They got the influence that I certainly don't have. The finances, they're moving in different circles. Maybe people are listening to them a little more than they listen to us. Maybe they'll start listening to them and then get to listening to the rest of us. So I love it. I love the way the Most High does what He wants to do. He can do whatever He wants to do. He can turn the hearts of men. He holds everything. So He can do whatever He wants to do. So if He wants to use them, fine with me. It's His doing. I'm pleased with it. I'm glad about
it. Don't you just think it's funny that as soon as Deshaun Jackson was catching heat about the memes and the tweets of us being Israelites, a few days later, T.I. is coming on out with this. And I mean, I give him credit for coming out. And there was one video that was showing T.I. saying, we're going to get $1 million and have credit for $1 million through Lloyd's Bank. And I'm like, okay, well, the delivery, no, I'm not feeling it. The approach, okay, I get it. Because, see, a lot of folks, they're understanding we're in an awakening process. Not everybody was going to be up to par spiritually with us. I mean, it was literally by the Holy Spirit that I was awakened. And these folks aren't awakened really by the Holy Spirit. They're awakened by something. Most of them have been awakened by us, but certainly not the Spirit of the Most High. But at least if we're praying for them, they'll understand the direction, because you got to understand, we started making this grumbling, and that grumbling started turning into a groan. The groan started turning into, a muffled voice. And now it's turning into a roar. And now that it's turning into a roar, the whole earth, we have the whole earth's attention. And so that's where we're starting to see, okay, we're not going to be perfect. The Most High said we're not going to be perfect. When we get on out of here, We were never meant to be perfect, because if we were all perfect and we're all lined up, ready to go, had our suitcases in hand, on the beach, okay, Father Yah's coming, got everything going, Father Yah's coming, then do you not think that there's a possibility that the enemy will be like, forget it, we're just going to kill them all on the beach and our problems are solved? So the Most High has to do it in an order. But in terms of doing monetary figures and monetary amounts, listen, anything that they have in terms of a financial instrument and any type of a denoted value, that value is crumbling. I hate to say it, but we're seeing it crumbling. Even in their own publications, they're like, well, the stock market's been growing up since 2017. That's correct. But it's only been on the big 5 companies. So those are your Microsoft, Apple, Google, Amazon, and then even Tesla. And they said Tesla, they only have 2% of the value. So you got to understand, they're literally on a hope and a prayer that they have their monetary values that are able to sustain themselves. But the more that they're talking about that their monetary values can't sustain themselves, you have to understand, it's the witchcraft to say, man, I'm rich. You talk yourself into rich. It's the laws of the universe. I speak it on out. I'm going to be a rich man. I'm going to be wealthy. Okay. What do they speak of you all? Oh, we're criminals, right? You shouldn't be doing that. Oh, it's the dichotomy is evident. But now, see, their stuff was not built on solid ground. It was literally built in the sand. And now that the storms are raging, their shack that they thought was really nice, it was built on injustice. It was built on oppression. It was built on lies. So now everything was built on lies is being exposed. And the more the exposure that's happening, you can tell the erosion in the confidence is gone. You could tell. So if the confidence is gone with the people, what do you think happens next? See, I have to think what we're seeing, when we see these protests and we see the white folks involved in the protests, it's not necessarily that they're involved for our interests. We already know that. But we already know that they're involved because they understand a calamity's coming. A calamity is here. A calamity is happening. So for them to express their frustration, their anger, that's how they go to it. That's one side. Another side is, we're going to keep white power in charge as long as possible, and I'm going to let people know how I feel. So it's coming off. And now, all at the same time, you got to think of. No, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Well, what's worse though is when you have your own people who tearing down people who, if you have eyes to see, God is doing something with them, right? God is touching these people who, and in the past wouldn't say nothing about God, wouldn't know anything about who Israel is, didn't care. All they cared about is their money. And we're not saying they've arrived yet, but to think that God, like for instance, like some of the people in the chat say, well, Peter cussed, and they'd be the first one to throw Peter out. Oh, that's who you want to represent? No, we're humans, we're flesh. But God, if you can't tell when God is moving, then I have a problem with you, right? God is dealing with people who are in a sinful state, and he's going to make them righteous, right? So it's like, that is a process. That is a process. And everybody who's in Hollywood and everybody who's famous are not necessarily sold out to the enemy. And so when we see people like T.I. and some of the other entertainers coming out, every one of them may have their own reasons, but God's will is going to be done. And so my point is this, and this is the problem I have with people, because some of them are so narrow-minded. You know, and when I did my show, when I talked about the 400-year picture puzzle, that applies to everything you see happening on a prophetic scene. So when you see, hey, at the end of the 400 years, black folks are waking up to be in Israel. You see at the end of the 400 years, Gentiles are going crazy. When you see at the end of the 400 years, there's a talk about reparations. When you see at the end of the 400 years, entertainers are waking up to be in Israel, calling out for reparations as well, you cannot see that this is probably the Most High? Could it not possibly be God moving in his people and moving in the hearts of men? Right? So you begin at the fact that they're cussing, but in the end, God is going to win because it's going to end up in redemption. See, I got a problem with people who are so narrow-minded, so narrow focused. All they did was hear T.I. cussing.
Yes.
You know, and when you can't see that, maybe God is doing something. See, maybe God is reaching out to these people, because these people, even though they got money, you know what? Some of them are the most deceived. Some of them are caught up so much in their wealth and their idols of money and power and fame that God got to get their attention. And now you see that they're starting to at least pay attention. So next thing you know, they hear who we are. They hear about reparations, and then they're going to say, you know what? The Bible speaks about this. The Bible speaks about the 400 years. The Bible speaks about his people waking up. The Bible also talks about a second Exodus. You don't think God preparing his people to go? Both the rich and the poor? I'm just saying, I think some of us out here are just too narrow-minded because maybe you got another agenda. Because see, right now, I'm looking at the deliverance of our people. I'm looking at the deliverance of our people who are at this very moment still being killed, still being persecuted, but yet people are protesting for their rights. Now, like Kara said, everybody who protesting ain't necessarily for us, but it's going to work for us regardless of what their agenda is. So I'm going to share an article about reparations that just recently came out, which shows you that, you know, something is moving, something is happening now. You know, some people say, well, we're not going to get reparations from man. Well, regardless of how you get it, who you think gave it to you, it ain't going to be man, because man will never give it to you. It's going to be God working through man. California Assembly passes reparations bill. A bill creating a task force to study how reparations could be implemented statewide passed the California Assembly this week as Black Lives Matter protests across the U.S. forced leaders to reckon with the country's history of racism. The bill would establish an 8-member task force to study how reparations could be awarded and who would be eligible for them in an effort to address the wrongs of slavery in the U.S. The measure was passed 60-14 with bipartisan support. The bill still has to pass the state Senate and be signed into law by Governor Gavin Newsom. If the bill becomes law, California would be the first state to create an official task force studying the issue. The discriminatory practices of the past echo into the everyday lives of today's Californians. We seem to recognize that justice requires that those who have been treated unjustly need the means to make themselves whole again, said Assemblywoman Shirley Weber, the author of the bill, said. Since the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement in 2014, politicians have started taking the idea of reparations seriously. A federal bill establishing a commission to study the issue was introduced in 2019, and the House of Democrats hope Congress will vote on the legislation later this year, CNN reported. The city of Evanston, Illinois, which is outside Chicago, created a first-in-the-nation program last year that uses taxes on legal marijuana sales to fund reparations. The city hopes to start making payments later this year or early next. And Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden said this week he supports studying the feasibility of reparations after being hesitant about them for years. The U.S. in 1988 paid reparations to survivors of Japanese internment camps during World War II, giving each person $20,000. So, once again, you know, the talk of reparations isn't going away. Now, I didn't even know about the marijuana tax right? That's going to be used to pay some. I don't know, what it's going to pay. I don't know the details of it. But the conversation is ongoing. They thought in 2019 that once they said they were going to do that study and the House was going to vote on whether or not to do a study, that, it'll disappear. It's not disappearing. Even if we look at Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter is obviously a communist front organization. Okay. So we're going to say, well, Black Lives Matter, and we know it's pro LGBTQ, right? Now, for us, that's a negative. But yet, God can use them as well, just like God used the devil to fulfill his will.
Yes.
And so, now the conversation is still going on, where the conversation about reparations, maybe it would have died off. Maybe, people stop hearing about, Tone and Yvette and what's your other boy name, whatever his name. But, that started waning. But now the conversation is still happening because of Black Lives Matter. My point being is, if you see something, just because there's a negative side to it, don't mean God not going to use it. Okay, God has used our enemies to punish us. He uses our enemies to bless us. We need to be smarter than that and understand that everything that looks like is gold isn't gold, but everything that looks like, it's negative isn't negative. Any comment?
I wanna get on here. I'm not in any way endorsing in fact, but I do have to say, look, I agree with his logic. It's a logical approach, and the thing that I see it as genuine is because you're not going to have that many Black people amassing in an area without any type of, I would say, opposition. Because that's a big logistical challenge to get Black folks and to have Black folks and to be able to do that without people running their mouth, let me run and tell them type Negroes that we usually are. And you got to understand, we're actually becoming more cohesive. And so that cohesion is something that we have not ever seen since we've been here since 1619. So, is everybody going to be, at the doctoral level of Hebrew Israelites and at the Bible and things of that nature? No. But at the same time, listen, the rallying cry has been, we know we're Israelites. We know we're getting ready to go home. We see these things happening throughout the earth, especially here in the United States. And these things aren't a coincidence. Now, will the Most High use Judah and Israel as his arm? That's what it says in the scriptures. It really does say that, so we can't take away from the context of the scriptures. But I believe, though, our roar is really what is the most scary thing to our Gentile folks that we have here. Because, see, just think about all the stuff we're saying with our mouths. See, it was easy for the enemy to just come through and just sow dissension. Oh, this person has a problem here. Oh, this thing has a problem there. This, yada, yada. We know that. We already knew the COINTELPRO ops that were going on. We already knew about the gentrification that was happening and the processes that went behind gentrification. And it wasn't just a whole, oh, well, we'll set you up here and there. No, they kill folks and then they move. They kill us and then they move on in. And Breonna Taylor happened to be a prime example of it. But isn't it funny that coincidentally it all happens this year? So it's not like what we have been saying has been so astronomically out of this world. What we're saying is now being it's congruent. It's congruent with what's happening. Hey, we've been saying it. Told you so. I'm just waiting for the folks in Chicago to finally catch cell phone video of these white people in black clothing and black skin and black model stuff that we've seen back in 2018 to finally get caught. Because, see, you got to understand, they are playing with fire. They're playing with fire. But see, they don't think that they're going to get found out. The problem is they're going to get found out all the way.
So you're talking about the guys who are killing black folks, but they're probably like white folks in blackface.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're never finding a suspect or any type of person of interest, things that nature. But listen, the pieces are coming on out, and you know how God is. God is good. Father Yah is good. He's showing us, all right, I'm showing you these building blocks, and then you're going to see the finale. It's like a fireworks show. You start off small, you don't see the grand finale to the end, but that's when it's spectacular. It's spectacular. And so, see, we know what they're doing. It's just that they haven't got caught yet. Keyword is yet. And see, they think that they're not going to get caught because the problem is they don't read what Joel chapter 3 says. Because all that stuff that they're doing is going to be laid bare. Because you got to remember, the haughty heart is what goes to what? It fails. It goes to destruction. Pride leadeth to destruction. So they're so prideful. They've been prideful in their ways that, see, the Most High has already had that snare. He has it set for them. So you got to remember, when people are also in a panic, they start doing things that they're not used to doing. Do you see what I'm saying? It is literally like we've been having a shock and awe campaign just with our mouths. We haven't fired any type of shots. We haven't had any type of a militaristic campaign. We just been talking. We just been yelling. But see, it's a shock and awe.
So you're saying
it's something.
So you're saying we're making.
Yeah, go ahead.
So are you saying we're gaining ground? We're gaining ground, but not firing a shot?
Yes, that's what I believe. Because you got to understand,
I agree with you.
Their tactics that they've used and that they relied on for 400 years is all falling apart. Just think about this. People are fighting back. Look, it used to be, well, if I get touched, I can't touch them. I can't defend myself. I'm going to keep my arms to myself. I got to keep my hands to myself. And you got to understand, the different narrative has been, if I get touched, I'm going to beat the brakes off of them. Because why? Because I'm not having that anymore. Because why? The Most High said, defend yourself. He didn't say going out there and actively try to mess with people. No. But if I need to defend myself, I'm going to defend it. If I need to throw some hands, I'm going to throw it. Look, if they're trying to come to me with a force that's lethal, then I'm going to have my force that's lethal. See, we had gone into the narrative of, Christ did this, Christ did that. Well, Christ also threw over some tables for the change makers in the temple. And, there's probably more exploits that Christ did, but you got to understand who took all that stuff on out. But we're understanding, look, it's just a natural thing. I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to protect my family. I'm going to protect my property. Because why have I not been thinking about protecting the things that I'm legally entitled to? That's Romans chapter 8. But you got to understand, we were so wrapped up that we were just thinking, it's not Christ-like if I do that. Well, no. You're under the law. You're under the law that man has established because you are allowed to defend yourself. Now, whether or not that law will be applicably applied in a just manner, no. We already know that that's not going to happen. The law is for us and not for them. We already know that. We know the inconsistencies, but see, the straw has been, see, we used to think, okay, well, we're going to go to jail if we do this, we're going to do that, we're going to see that scary talk is actually like it's literally dissipating from our lips. It really is. And I think also a lot of the confrontation that we didn't want to deal with, we're stepping up to it. So that becomes even much of a stranger position for them, because it was like, well, my domination has not been the same type of power that I had been accustomed to. So if I can't have that power, what am I going to do? Well, if I deal with them directly and I say something and I deal with the wrong one, then I'm going to get a hand to my face. If I try to, if I try to project power and I deal with the wrong one, then I'm going to get body slammed and get knocked out on the pavement. And I've seen that happen plenty of times.
I'm going to share a scripture with you all, why they have a problem with us. Okay, this is Deuteronomy 2, verse 24. Set out now and cross the Arnon Gorge. See, I have given into your hand Shinon the Amorite, king of Heshbon, and his country. Begin to take possession of it and engage him in battle. This very day I will begin to put the terror and fear of you on all the nations under heaven. They will hear reports of you and will tremble and be in anguish because of you. So, I mean, just to add to what you're saying, right? We're engaging the enemy right now. Now, whether you look at it as on a spiritual level as well as the natural first, then spiritual, right? God is putting the fear of us in them. Why? Why are they upset?
Absolutely.
Because they know we're about to rule. They know we're about to rule, and they can't have that. The slaves cannot become the slave, become the master, right? They can't have the slave become the master. Sister Sheila, any comments?
Yeah, I agree. We are becoming, I agree with Karis and you. We are becoming more, I don't want to say confrontational, but yeah, we're not kind of backing down. I kind of find that in myself. It's like I'm way more assertive, if you will, than I was 5-10 years ago, where I kind of go ahead and face things straight on. And I wanted to just hit what you were saying about how some people are saying, well, that's your representative, look how they talk. But I think about how the Most High, like we said, can do what he wants to do. And I mean, and look, he picked David, and Samuel kept saying, well, is it this one? Surely it's this one. And he was like, no, I'm doing the picking here. I look at the heart, not at what's going on the outside. I also think it kind of goes into that whole gaslighting thing. When you're dealing with people, receive the truth of what's being said to you. Sometimes everybody, like you said, ain't going to say it the way you want to say it. Everybody ain't going to be the way you want it to be. It's not going to come out that way. But if the truth is there, receive that, and if they're talking the truth, even though they might not quite know who they are, as long as they're saying the truth, then that's fine. And I also think about what Paul was saying, where he kind of said, like, however Jesus is being preached, whether some doing it for selfish reasons or some really doing it to glorify him, at the end of the day, Paul was like, I don't care. The Most High, Christ is being preached one way or the other. So this is going down one way or the other. We know ultimately it's, Most High is on our side. He's going to do all of this. He's going to work through whoever he wants to, but it's going down, and it's going to go down however he wants it to go down.
Can I?
So one thing, yeah, go ahead, Kara.
So this is really what the Holy Spirit had just imparted into me. what we're actually understanding, we are now walking and talking in our authority. Can let me repeat this. We are now walking and now we are talking in our authority. See, it was one thing to say, well, I'm going to bind up things here on in heaven as I bind up in on earth, and that was kind of it. That was it. But now we're understanding. Wait a second. Whatever we are saying and we're binding in the heavenlies is being bound. And see, we're now binding these things. Their powers have literally been bound. Like, I don't know what to tell you all, but COVID-19 literally, it bound all their power. It bound them
Yep, that's true.
It bound them up so much they really don't understand what's happening. And you got to understand, it's like, oh, well, I understand because I know who I am. I'm an Israelite. I'm a child of the Most High.
Yep.
I'm born again. I'm saved. I know who my Messiah is. I know who died on the cross for us. I know how to get my power.
Hallelujah.
So we understand.
So Karen, I want to add something. You can finish your statement right, after I finish. But what you're saying is, it literally came to me, yesterday, last night, in my spirit, that it is time to move from the knowledge to the spirit. It's time to move from the knowledge to the power of God. And I prayed to the Lord. I said, Lord, I don't know how to accomplish that. I don't know how to move. So I said, you have to teach me how to move in the spirit, because I felt he was saying it's time to move from the knowledge to the spiritual. Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, because here's the thing. We're out of. I think. I was reading this somewhere. Maybe I was just praying about it, but I felt in my spirit that honestly, back in February, it was literally like, okay, knowledge time is done. It's like, when you're in school, right? You're in school. Okay. Well, I've studied all I needed to study. Now it's time to take the test. And what are we what's happening right now? We're all getting tested. We're all getting tested.
Amen. Yep.
So when we see all these folks going crazy, even Paul says to rejoice in the test, because you're going to have now the testimony. Look, in our generation, we're now seeing the actual testing happening. See, we used to just think, back in the 60s, it was this and it was that. And it was like, okay, I get what you're saying. See, we were promoting and we were understanding that based on what the Most High was giving us, okay, we're at 400 years. We're at 400 years. Why am I concerned about 400 years? Oh, we're Israelites. Why am I concerned that we're Israelites? Oh, there's a power that we have. Why am I concerned? So then all those levels were creeping up to where you're ready now. If the folks that had gone on the boat, if they weren't on the boat yet, guess what? They're just going to be tugged on the jet ski as we're just cruising along in our Sea Ray 240. Okay? Now they better be careful if I don't run their behinds over into rocks or anything else, but it doesn't matter. Because see, all of what T.I. is saying is just the same thing that we said. It doesn't matter. Because what matters is, see, we have the spiritual power and we're now operating under the spiritual authority. So everything that we're saying right now that's coming on out of our mouths is manifesting in the natural. It really is. And so when we're trying to understand, well, I don't think this, I don't think that. Listen, no matter how much they try to say we're going to have a vaccine and this and that and all this stuff, you got to remember. Think about, I want you to just do this. I want you all to look at CNN, Fox News, MSNBC. Just take a look and just see the crazy narratives that they're all pulling and pushing together. Because they have an understanding they don't have that much time left. Okay? They know they don't have that much time left. So you got to understand, they're going to push here, push here, push here. Oh, Will and Jada, they came to the red table. All this nonsense is just because they've lost control. And when they've lost control of the narrative, look, man, I can't put that witchcraft, those spells on these black folks. Quick, get them into the bubble in Orlando. Get a basketball in their hands. These black folks sure like to see that basketball go through that hoop. Come on. Give me that pigskin. Throw that touchdown. Oh, these Negroes sure like to run to the end zone. But then they're saying, oh, well, what's happening? Wait a second. Let me get out my owner's manual from 1619. Hey, this is how you're gonna treat black people, yada yada yada. Wait. All this stuff isn't working. Well, I know it's not working, so we'll just kind of we'll start studying these reparations. We'll study it. How much of a study was there when they passed the bill for the COVID-19 payments? How much of a study was there when the Supreme Court literally said, okay, guess what? These Native Americans are now indemnified and they now have a restoration of a claim on their property. See, people don't understand. They were legally restored to do what? To administer authority over their land. You know what that means? That means they own it now. Believe it or not, they own it. Okay, guess what? If I'm one of the chiefs, all right, well, let's kind of take a look at this. Let's see what we can push before the federal government, rides on in or has to intervene. Well, you got to think about it now. They can probably push a lot. If I was a Native American, I would literally be at FedEx office and I'd be printing out flyers and everything else for hundreds of thousands of people within that area, telling them, guess what? You now have a tax. You now have this to pay. Oh, you want to live here? You can live here, but you're now under new authority. Well, you got your state, you got your local, and now here's a big one. You have a territorial fee. Oh yeah, I would be up on in there. What's this territorial fee? It's not this. Okay. You can sue me on it, but you're going to be paying. Well, what happens? Well, you don't want to know what happens, do you? Leave that to their imagination. And so,
So I have.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I have one more video. This is going to move to a different prophetic discussion, and then we're going to start winding down on that. So this, I'm sure you all have heard about the various locust plagues, right? And now it's moved into India. So let's look at that.
अरे यार धान वगैरह तो बर्बाद ही कर देंगे यहाँ मतलब गिर गई तो पीछे ना गिर तुम लोग क्या कहते ना चिट्ठी हम लोगों ने रखा जाए भाई इनकी यति हो रही ना ये खत्म हो जाएंगी फिर अरे यार ये सोचो कहाँ निकलने के हाथ
देख ले हो टिड्डी।
So I know we've seen 100 of these, but remember, so we have it in Kenya, we have it in what we call the Middle East. Now India, we have locusts in Latin America now. We have locusts in China. We have floods. There's even a video of I forgot where it was, one of the rivers in one of these countries turning red. We've seen those before. To me, I don't know. Is it really just us who see these things? I mean, I don't understand why the nations don't understand that this is biblical judgments, other than spiritual blindness, right? So any comments on that? Welcome, Yasef. How's it going? Go ahead, Karis.
I like reading a lot of these comments when they have videos about these, and some people say, "Oh, it's prophetic." It's the topical, superficial. It's prophetic. Okay, why is it prophetic? Oh, because Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming back. Well, do you not think that do you think it's more of a coincidence since black people are saying that they're Israelites and it's been 400 years of captivity? No, I don't believe that. No, can't be. Nope, not at all. And the sad thing is, that's the biggest deception that they have. And I look at it like this. See, in order for you to move to the phase that the Most High is going to get you, you have to play the game of deception that you've allowed that enemy to have. So, see, for us, we don't think it's strange that we're seeing all this stuff. We don't think that it's strange because we understand. We've read, we've prayed, we've fasted. We've done all these things to be spiritually in touch with what is happening in the natural. For them, it's like, well, it's all been done before, and it's not a big deal. But the problem is, yes, it's all been done before, but not at the rate of what we're seeing. And when you explain that to them, they can't even grasp it because they know it's true. They know it's true. You can't have locusts, droughts, floods, all these different aberrations in the heavens, comets, meteorites. That actually starts tonight. All these different things. We just had an eclipse last week. All these different things that's signaling, okay, well, you may want to kind of understand it, but see, for them, think about this. And I just saw this article, and I'll shut up from there. Google is now making searches a whole lot harder in terms of trying to find the content that you're looking for. So if these folks are trying to find out what's happening in this awakening, well, guess what they're going to be seeing? They're going to be seeing all this Eurocentric returns or results, and it will never really be able to answer any of their questions, because you got to remember, they live on sight. They don't live by the spirit. So they're just going to say, oh, yeah, that tickles my curiosity. I'm good. And then they leave it from there.
Hey, Yasef, any comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on that last video. I've been listening for a little bit. Yeah, I think it is spiritual blindness for those that don't recognize all the plagues taking place and the prophecy taking place. And if it's not spiritual blindness, it just has to be that their hearts are hardened. They don't want to see it. They're denying it. They're in just complete denial about what's taking place. So I actually made a comment on the last live about my views on the second Exodus, and I ended up deleting my my comment because I want to do more reading and research. But I don't know if anyone's seen like the recent mothership. It was in one of the Asian countries, I believe. I want to say Malaysia, but I could be wrong. But I think that's going to be our rescue through celestial spaceships, or in other words, UFOs. The Gentiles, I don't think know what they are, but I see them as chariots of God, chariots of fire, and I believe that's going to be our rescue.
So, I leave anything open for possibilities because we don't know how God is going to do it. I know if you look at the scripture that says he's going to send his angels to gather the elect from the four corners, or his chosen from the four corners. Now, gathering could be, bringing you to one location, because we know also that the ships of Tarshish and everything going to be involved in our going back. Now, whether or not they be ships, I don't know. I'm open to it because, I was going to do a show on this, and I think I mentioned it in one of the old videos I did. I think it was one of the Ancient World series. I mentioned that what made me believe that UFOs are real is the situation that happened in Zimbabwe. And if you never saw the video, I suggest you Google it, where these young children in South Africa, Zimbabwe, somewhere up in Zimbabwe, that area, saw these beings come out of a ship and talking to their minds. And these kids were like, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, somewhere up in that age range. And so I'm not going to say how God going to do anything, but anything's possible. So,
Yeah. Sorry. I just really quick. I did watch that video, and I just also wanted to bring up the old slave song, or the songs that the enslaved used to sing about, like "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot." I believe they're talking about celestial spaceships or UFOs. I mean, a chariot swinging low, that sounds like a chariot of fire to me, coming to the rescue. So, yeah, I have to do more research on that, but that's what I believe.
That's interesting. Swing low, sweet chariot coming before they carry me home. We always took that to mean like dying and going to heaven, huh? I mean, that's an interesting viewpoint. So any final comments? We're winding down. Let's start with you, Sister Sheila.
Just that the Most High is once again saying, let my people go. None of this is really a coincidence. He and the beautiful thing about it, I think, is that he's letting us see it. He's letting us see his power for those of us who know him, who seek him and understand what's going on. So I don't think these locusts and these floods and this red water and so on and so forth, and even with this COVID stuff, it's just, he's just letting us see his power and his glory. And he is saying, let my people go, but they too deaf. They can't hear it. They don't hear it.
Karis.
So I'm going to have to say this. If I see the chariots coming and I have my iPhone out, I'm going to put on my Apple Music Outcast and Atlanteans and just say, throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care. Because they may have been on something. They may have been on to something.
Right.
But other than that, this was a good chat. This was a good discussion, especially with all the Hebrews and Gentiles that are there. Whether you want to be known or incognito, this is what we are seeing. Because again, look how much content is showing on up. And these hours, last couple minutes. So that the Most High is moving, and he's moving. Honestly, I think he's moving quicker than what I would have known. And just seeing the contents, seeing the chat, and actually now having to dig on in that, You know, they're thinking Iran had attacked a ship, but I saw that they're thinking Iran had possibly attacked another ship in San Diego in the port there. You know, a lot of these things, it's not a coincidence, but it's just it just validates what we're seeing in the direction that we're going. Because, you know, the Most High's word does not return void. So we're now seeing everything ramp up at a faster pace. So good night. Shalom, salama, family.
Yasif?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you once again for your continued work, and to everybody, you know, putting in work for the cause, for the mission. Just keep it up, and y'all bless.
And Sister Deborah Yawahata, I saw that clip as well, the Boosie Collins movie. Have you all seen that, Karis?
What was that?
And so, the Boosie Collins movie.
No,
it's like a short movie, and it's about black folks. It's a trip. It's about black folks being taken up in a UFO, and so the white people made a deal with the aliens to take the black people, and it was, you had to be a certain shade, and if you was too light, you couldn't go. And it was funny. It was funny.
That sounds funny.
I'm gonna look for it and
great.
on Prime when I'm done with this.
Yeah. So, all right, family. Thanks for being on the panel and everyone in the chat. Love y'all with the love of the Messiah. Peace out, Israel. We love you. Your redemption draweth nigh.
Hallelujah.